Maybe the world is blind, or just a little unkind. Don't know. Seems you can't be sure of anything anymore. Although you may be lonely, and then one day you're smiling again. Every time I turn around, I see the girl who turns my world around, standing there. Every time I turn around, her spirit's lifting me right off the ground. Every time I turn around, what's gonna be? Guess we'll just wait and see.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, friends.
Hello, everyone.
This is not the Patreon, Mark.
Yeah, it is. It's the... Oh, shit. It isn't.
Uh-oh. Mark got confused.
Uh-oh. I didn't prepare a bit. Let's see.
Well, you never do.
I know, that's true.
Yeah, right? This is all just completely off the cuff.
All off the top of my head. I don't think about it for days on end.
I thought the bit was that you're pretending that you forgot.
That would be pretty good if it was that.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Instead,
I thought my mic cut out.
Instead, we're here at this 2-bit operation.
Yeah, so, well, I will say the thing this last week in what we needed to watch for the between the Patreon and this broadcast showed me that I've already knew this to be true, but that there's an awful lot of shows and movies and things that are very like time and place, in a sense that there are jokes and situations that go on that are just seen as normal that, you know, nowadays, or even through the time we were growing up, like wouldn't be thought of as you know, passe, or even, you know, we would see something wrong with it going there. And maybe it was because, at least with what we're going to talk about today, and you know, one of my Patreon movies, there were a lot of things like I can see the greatness in it, and, you know, the way things were portrayed, but I just didn't. It was just kind of like, oh, that is a little that's a little gross, and they probably like completely miss, you know, like was like, that's not great, like we know better now.
Right, you're talking about when Alan did blackface in this episode for no reason.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was
It was like, man, this really feels like we could make this nowadays.
No, not at
right in front of Knowles, just all up in his grill, and he was happy about it.
It was a reference to the thing. It was like, oh, which one's Knowles? Which one's the real one?
Alan for a reason.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was tasteless, but I realized, like, listen, when did this come out? 86?
86.
This is 86. This was, the people weren't as refined as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta remember that.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, and also just I'll talk deeper about it when we talk about, you know, more so in the Patreon episode. Which is why
You don't think we're going to get very deep onto this episode where we review an episode of Punky Brewster?
We'll find a way to get way too deep into this episode, to be honest. But no,
yeah, you're the one who decided to do this episode.
No, what I was saying was I literally was thinking about talking about this because I had thought what we were going to talk about Thursday was where I needed this. So mostly what I was thinking about this week leading up to this podcast more pertains to the Patreon movies.
Sure.
But the Punky does have a bunch of things that also very much
Ant's
couldn't
losing
be
it.
done on children's sitcoms in the 80s right now. And
I don't know why it tickled me that you called it the Punky. It just did.
That's what Cherie calls her, right? The Punky.
The Punky.
I did like how you recycled your opening from an episode that we haven't done yet,
Yeah.
which is pretty good.
Well, because I'm not going to do an opening on that episode, so I have to do it.
You were like, you know what? Two things are almost exactly alike. Is Punky Brewster, the episode where Cherie gets stuck in the fridge, and Raging Bull.
Cool.
They're very similar. So
that's what everybody was thinking. I mean,
well, his character is trapped in a fridge of emotion.
That's true. Yeah. His icy heart.
I mean, Punky Brewster, Jake LaMotta, tomato. Am I right?
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, that'll do for an opening bit.
Yeah, we can always get one even.
Yes, that'll do nicely.
Change.
Yeah, we'll try again next week. It's fine. All right.
I'm sure I haven't done 300 and so odd good ones. So
yeah, maybe like 270,
something like that.
All right. Well, let's move on because that's what we do here. We move on. This week we didn't watch a movie. Usually I say we do, but we didn't. We actually watched an episode of television because this is our quote-unquote movie of the month, or shall we call TV of the month, and it's May Sweeps. So we decided to, our Discord mentioned, I think last month, that, you know what's always a good thing is when you guys watch TV episodes. So we decided, you know what, it's May. It's a perfect time to kind of, double down on that. So we decided to do TV episodes specifically. Because it's May Sweeps, we decided to do very special episodes. So we pitted 3 episodes against each other. Dan had picked the I'm So Excited, Jesse Spano addicted to caffeine pills on Saved by the Bell. I picked the last episode of Dinosaurs, where they accidentally caused their own extinction. And those two both failed to beat Mark's pick. So Mark, introduce our very special episode.
Yeah, so this is one of the episodes that I immediately go to when people joke about how shows used to have very special episodes all the time, and always tried to teach kids a lesson in especially the 80s. I immediately think about it because it is the weirdest lesson to kids, because the thing it's most remembered for is not even the theme of the episode. So I picked 1986 Punky Brewster, Cherie Lifesaver, in which her friend Cherie gets trapped in a refrigerator while playing hide and seek. And then we learn later on that it is the quintessential thing that when you throw out a refrigerator, you must take the door off or else you can get trapped inside in a Chicago snowstorm.
Yes, so Punky Brewster, Season 2, Episode 16, titled Cherie Lifesaver, original air date January 19th, 1986, stars George Gaines, Salil Moonfry, Susie Garrett, Sherry Johnson, T.K. Carter, Casey Ellison, Amy Foster, and Frank Bonner. IMDb score of 8.7. Plot. After learning about CPR in class, Cherie gets stuck in a refrigerator during a game of hide and seek. I want to know where you guys are coming from. Dan, let's start with you. Punky Brewster. Dan, Punky Brewster.
This is the first episode I've ever watched of Punky Brewster. It was a little bit before my time, and it never caught my eye. So I can't say that I was dying to watch this episode, but after watching it, I am convinced that this is you ever hear the story about the lawn dart where,
yes,
right, one kid was impaled by a lawn dart and they banned lawn darts. You can't buy the metal lawn darts anymore. And I feel like this is a similar situation where we probably got fridge safety before we got gun safety.
Sure.
One kid got trapped in an old refrigerator. So now we have to do all these things to make sure that doesn't happen. But now don't worry about the guns. It's fine. Just forget about that. The only thing that interested me about this was finding out that Knowles from The Thing is in it. And that's really all I took away from this episode, and how much I hate that kid Alan.
Well, he's so funny.
Is he? Is that
He's a
what-
jokester.
Is that what constituted as funny in 1986?
Dan, did you also yell "fuck you, Alan" at the end when they save her and
No.
he's sitting there
No,
sad in the corner?
I thought that is a tremendous amount of pressure to put on a little kid.
Yes.
They're a grown up. Hey, save this kid. Like, when the first thing that Knowles teaches them is, if something like this happens, immediately get like an adult.
Yeah.
And the only adult in the situation, like, fuck if I know what to do.
I never learned CPR.
Right. So I guess it's weird because when we grew up, CPR was more talked about, I suppose, than in 1986 and prior years.
Yeah, I believe this was like the beginning. Like, I feel like this time period was CPR, DARE,
There,
yeah. All that stuff was going on in elementary schools and high school.
It's weird because you know how every now and then people will talk about, like, oh, like PTSD wasn't really talked about until this time period, or like mental health awareness wasn't really talked about. So like I found out through this Punky Brewster episode that CPR wasn't really talked about until 1986. Like my whole timeline is just skewed now. So it's like all these important things no one gave a shit about until like the 90s, apparently.
Yeah, like the 80s were just littered with, all right, you don't want to teach your kids shit, Gen X. We're going to show them how to do everything on their favorite TV shows.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's where everyone grew up, was on TV shows. I wonder if nowadays, like if say that didn't happen, that conversation hadn't happened, if it happened today, would that be considered woke, doing CPR?
Yeah, what this teacher was doing would be considered grooming, Dan.
It's grooming,
mean,
right?
Sure. And
'Cause
he
he was-
also is
he
a
was-
DEI hire.
Yeah, true.
Right.
And because he was teaching kids how to put their mouths on adult
And-
people.
And he kicked out the little white boy. So he's going down. What did you do to my son? He was disrupting the class. I don't care. This is your fault. Okay. I want to get you fired, Knowles, from The Thing.
That's
just
exactly
passed
how
away.
they address them.
I think earlier this year he passed away.
Yeah, in January I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how I don't want to remember him as the teacher. I'll always remember him as Knowles.
But he did save Cherie's life by teaching Punky
Yeah.
and Margot CPR.
Yeah. That's true.
Sure.
And I will say he was a very good teacher because he was very involved in it, right? He wasn't just
Mhm.
like, all right, this is how you do it, practice. He was getting them into the situation.
Yeah.
I love that his whole thing practicing on the dummy was, oh, the lights lit up, you did it right, she lived.
Hooray.
Hey, I think the kids being very deliberate about the steps just wasted time, but then again they're kids.
Sure.
Like the feel, listen, whatever, to tell if the person's not breathing.
Right.
Right.
It wastes a lot of time.
Yes, but this is the public service, that part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
episode, right?
Yeah.
They can't rush through the steps. It's like, I hope you got it.
Alan
Yeah.
obviously didn't.
Yeah, especially without reruns back in 1986 and without on demand. You can see this once and maybe you'll catch it again in the summer during reruns,
Sure.
but you're only going to see this probably one time in your life in 1986.
Yeah, which is part of the reason I think it's got a little bit of a, it's one of the last times when episodes got like this sort of like legacy. I'm thinking of a different word, but sort of like they weren't seen as much. So everybody's like, oh my God, did you see that episode?
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like a whisper down the lane thing.
Mhm.
Because that's what
okay.
TV was back in the day.
Yeah.
TV was a very, it wasn't a permanent thing. It was, you either caught it or you didn't.
Yep. And if you missed it, too bad.
Right. You would have to hear about it from someone at work or someone at school. Like, oh, did you watch the new Punky Brewster where the little kid almost got stuck in the refrigerator?
All because an old man was a little bit afraid of snow.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, I'll take
a
it off
Chicago
later.
man at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Commandant Eric Lassard from the Police Academy movies.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research. I didn't delve too deeply into its Punky, but like apparently the whole thing is he's a curmudgeon who finds Punky Brewster holed up in an abandoned apartment. So she's derelict essentially,
Mhm.
and he just like, oh, I'll take this little. It's almost like Orphan Annie, Little Orphan Annie.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably where they got it.
Orphans are all the rage in the 80s.
Yeah.
Different strokes. I assume Webster. This
Alf.
Annie.
the robot girl, sort of.
Robot girl. Wait,
Yeah.
what is
Small
that?
Wonder.
Small Wonder. You never seen Small Wonder?
No, I've
Oh
never heard of
damn! We're gonna mark this down for the next time we do a TV episode.
Did you hear my joke about Alf? He was an
He was
orphan.
an orphan. Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to make
Uh,
sure you heard it because
Yeah.
you guys were very upset that I hadn't heard of Small Wonder.
Which one had Bob Euchre?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, he was on a TV show.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know if it's true.
Mr.
but
Belvedere.
Yeah.
Mr.
I
Oh,
was
Belvedere.
thinking. Yeah.
The same person who wrote the opening for Punky Brewster also wrote the opening theme for Mr. Belvedere. I read.
Yeah, these guys were prolific. When they wrote a theme song for a show, they didn't write just one song for one show. Like the guy that did
Right.
Full House theme song, I'm pretty sure did like every song you could ever think of.
I miss those days.
Love a good TV sitcom theme song.
Yeah. They were like the Jim Johnson of sitcom shows.
Exactly.
It was the soundtrack of our youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and my favorite part about the Punky one, which I didn't
The
remember-
Punky. Just go with it. I love it.
I love it. I'm trying not to try to
It's coining
shorten
a
it.
phrase.
Yeah.
Is that it's just like most of those really good ones where it's just like too long for the sake of being long.
Mhm.
Like there's moments where you think it's going to end and they're like, nope, we're going to tell you about 2 more characters in the show, whether they have more than 2 minutes of airtime or not.
So was this the only Punky Brewster episode that really delved into a serious topic?
No, apparently
No.
not. From what I was seeing,
Okay.
like every
Yeah, most
episode
of
seemed
them.
like they were like lesson learning time.
Okay.
This
There's
just
one
the
about
memorable
drugs.
tournament one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Punky Brewster kind of reminded me. There's a scene. I don't know if it was like this. You guys could tell me more, or Mark. She was almost like the original Jim Halpert in a way, because
Yeah.
when a joke would happen, she would almost like ham it to the camera. And she's given that like, no, can you believe you just said that?
Fourth wall break.
Yeah. At the beginning of the episode, what's his name? Harry, the stepdad or the foster
Henry.
dad, Henry. He makes a joke about, or he talks about the refrigerator. Right? The original, the way the episode kicks off is the refrigerator craps out, and he says something about it, and she just kind of like, she breaks the fourth wall a little bit. Is she the first person in sitcom to like history to break the fourth wall?
Good question.
Yeah.
This little girl, the Punky, as Mark
Punky.
likes to say.
The Punky.
Punky.
I mean, I'd be surprised if Robin Williams didn't do it at least once on like
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe Happy Days,
Yeah.
the Fonz.
Hey,
Hey.
that's the Fonz, right?
I think so. Or is
Hey.
a Brooklyn guy.
All right, Mark, where are you coming from with Punky Brewster?
Yeah, so I have definitely more experience with Punky Brewster than Tan, mainly because it comes from, I've been talking about this a lot through a video game I've been streaming for people out there, is having an older sister. You kind of get exposed to media they watch, and she was a big time Punky Brewster fan, just because she liked doing the what was, I guess, seen as the rebel style of what a 9-year-old thinks is rebel.
Sure, she
you
was a
know,
rebel.
Yeah. And so I got exposed to, my sister watching it when I was younger, and then it got into rerun syndication and stuff. And then I would start watching it during the summers and things. So I do have memories of some of the episodes. This one in particular has taken on a life of its own. I think the thing before we get directly into the episode. The thing about it was one of those rare. I think the '80s did this more than until like more recently. It was like a gap between then and like mid like 2010-ish time where the kids on the show were kids and not like much older than like they weren't 15-year-olds playing 11 or anything like that. Like Punky was 9, or I'm sorry, Soleil was 9 when the show started, or 8 or something. So that might give into the looking into the camera. It might have just been a nervous young kid acting tick than more so than trying to break the fourth wall. But yeah, it was one of those where the plot of the show is very insane, that when they had to reboot it, they couldn't even do the foster thing. She just was a single mom. Because it's like a kid just showing up in an abandoned apartment building. There'd be a lot of questions in the 2020s, about that. But anyway, in this episode in particular, I love how this episode was teaching so many lessons and dumb lessons. The one was the whole, not that learning CPR is dumb, but the fact that they were teaching it to probably 9-year-olds. As Anne said, it's an awful lot of pressure to put on a child to be in a life-saving situation like this. And the fact of the fridge thing, which is the thing that's highlighted, and also how to not get swindled at an appliance store. There's a life lesson in that.
That's the real lesson to learn.
Yeah, it's the real lesson. As Henry gets tricked by the there's probably a term for the swindling they were doing, where like somebody acts like a customer and comes in just to make someone buy something at a higher price.
As a snake oil salesman, pretty much.
Yeah, something. And doing the whole "this is the last one" like scarcity sort of thing. So it's the whole, they made lessons for adults as much as kids in that.
I don't know why we had to see it happen twice.
No.
Right? So Henry, his name's Henry. I keep forgetting.
Henry, yeah.
Henry gets swindled. We know he gets, and immediately another customer comes in and they run the same routine on her. We got it.
I wonder if it's sort of because it's a kid show to kind of let kids know that, hey, this was a fake thing.
Right.
He didn't, sort of thing. The adults in the room got it, hopefully. I did like the joke later with Cherie's grandmother and Henry. When he goes, "Oh, my sister."
Yeah.
When she went to Chief Charles, and he's like, "Oh, no, I basically, lucky guess that's exactly what happened."
Right. Yeah. She explains the same exact situation happened to her sister without either of them knowing that it happened to him.
Yeah.
And he realizes it. I think you really only need that. If you're going to do that joke, great. You don't need to see the other. Happened to the other customer.
No,
yes, I agree.
It was if somebody knew the guy that was playing the second in command there, either the director or something, was like, "I'm going to get my buddy some more screen time. We're going to make this come back again."
Maybe.
You could have had that joke later on in the episode, possibly, instead of having it back to back. Like maybe you do it as a stinger at the end. Like, hey, I'm coming to I'm going to return the fridge because you ripped me off, and then he sells him something else.
Yeah, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
With but the funny part about the things I didn't remember, because I had seen this episode a few times before, was I didn't realize the whole thing about how Alan is just the worst class clown comedian ever, and then he gets kicked out, and I was waiting for him to go, "The principal said the next time I was coming, I'd be expelled."
Well, he's on eraser duty.
For duty, yeah. But I knew as soon as that happened that he was going to be the one to find Cherie. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. They have him because he doesn't know what to do." So the lesson is don't take this stuff seriously. Don't joke around about it.
Yeah.
Thing. But I think the main thing in the whole getting trapped in the refrigerator thing is that maybe I'm overestimating the thought process probably of a preteen here. But I would think she could have like maybe thrown a little more body weight to like make the fridge fall down and make a noise, to sort of, because the fridge is standing up, not on its side,
Right. So you're victim blaming.
Yeah, I'm victim blaming. Exactly. rock back and forth a little bit, make the thing tip over.
What
So
if,
that it
what if
makes-
she tips it onto the door? Then she really can't get out.
Then she's in a lot of
Oh.
trouble.
Yeah, 'cause this old man's just gonna wait for the snowstorm to end. He's like, "Sorry, Grandma, I can't flip the fridge over. It's snowing."
I mean, he's
Um,
70. He's 70 years old. What makes you think that he could?
Yeah. And the kids can't do anything about it. They're weaklings.
He's dead on arrival, man.
Yeah, and I also love that the how they just, because obviously they're doing this to teach a lesson, but I love that how, like, I guess in terms of getting rid of trash, they just leave it in the backyard of the apartment building instead of like off by the dumpster or whatever. It's just sitting in the middle.
That building looked like it should be condemned.
Yeah. I think
Like,
it's kind of the point, is that that's how she ends up in the abandoned apartment.
I
It's
get
like-
it's Chicago and all that, but that's a rough place to set a
Yeah.
sitcom.
Yeah, and
There's just
That was another
trash in the
thing.
backyard. Like, oh, let's raise a family here.
I feel like that the Midwest, Chicago in particular, and maybe to a lesser extent Milwaukee, was like a prime place to set like sitcoms in this time period, like New York was in the 90s.
Sure.
It was just I forgot that it was set in Chicago until they do that thing in the opening credits where they're going to Wrigley Field.
Yeah, they have the pennant, the
pennant
Cubs
and all.
pennant.
Like, oh, Chicago show.
That got me hooked. Like, oh, all right, cool, Chicago. We can see some cool stuff. But I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really venture outside
Yeah.
of the apartment.
No, this show would have been very much. This was on NBC, by the way. I think it was a primetime show. It's the reason it's on Peacock, obviously. This show would be one that'd be relegated to like maybe not even Disney or Nick, because I think this is too much, not even in that wheelhouse, but like a PBS sort of, because I was just reading through the episode list, and I would say a vast majority of the episodes have some kind of lesson in them, specifically. There's one about, the foster system, and stuff like that. I think there's one about kids who don't have money for Christmas is one. And this very much feels like it would be on like one of the more educational channels, so to speak, than NBC primetime. But yeah, overall the best part of the episode is the thing I remembered the most watching back is how Punky Brewster, the show, is, very much what, the first generation of, these kind of kid shows occurred before we transitioned into Nick and Disney Channel and, stuff like that, and how it was a little more wholesome, even though they're dealing with very serious things here. And just the fact that it was very much the 80s of, the main character has to stand out, like not just be normal looking. Like she has to be the, weird dressing punk kid, wisecracking, sort of deal, so that you would remember like kids wanted to be Punky Brewster or something like that.
I confused her with the girl who wears the weird hat, the funny
Blossom?
little hat. Yeah, Blossom. That's who I thought Punky Brewster was.
And I love how you pulled Blossom out while I was trying to think of who the girl with the weird hat was.
Yeah, I knew what Dan was going to say before he even mentioned that.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, which part clued you in?
Because who else would you mistake Punky Brewster for?
That's true.
Is this the
Yeah.
girl that wears funky clothes? The other one is Blossom.
With their sunflower hat, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was waiting for the hat to come into play.
So when is the hat going to make an appearance?
Yeah.
Been lied to my whole
Didn't
life.
see the hat. Yeah, her thing was her shoes. That was
Shoes.
her.
Did they even
thing.
show the shoes in this episode? I don't
No, but they were
remember.
they're multicolored shoes, and looks like she painted them herself or whatever.
Like a clown?
I don't know. There's a couple photos on the IMDb page that sort of show it off, but
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, I think they were supposed to be. For some reason, I remembered them being some kind of like knockoff Chuck Taylor looking shoes.
Okay.
I'm looking at a
Um,
picture. This looks like two different colored shoes.
Yeah,
I can see Chuck's.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out.
yeah,
Two
yeah. That was
different
supposed to be.
colors.
Yeah, that was because she was punk.
I
And
thought
today I learned, because I haven't dove deep into Punky Brewster before, that
No?
her first name is Penelope, which I never knew. It's in the description of the pilot episode. And it's like Penelope Punky Brewster, shows up in the apartment building. I was like, oh, I didn't know if it went that deep into a kids show where they like told you her full name, gave you her government name there. But yeah, overall, thoughts on the episode. It's just, all three of the episodes we put up to a vote here are probably three of the first ones that I would think of, like immediately. There's probably a Fresh Prince episode or like something else that happens, another one of those shows from the early 90s and stuff that I would probably Saved by the Bell, another Saved by the Bell outside of the one we picked.
The gun episode with Fresh Prince.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's a good one. That's a heavy episode though.
Yeah.
When they get stopped, when they get racial profiled too.
Yeah.
That's early. I think that's one of the first season episodes,
Mm-hmm.
like early on.
Yeah, they don't do much of this anymore. Or if they do, it's locked away on like a Nick or a Disney channel. That
Mark, people still get racially profiled, unfortunately.
Mark says we have solved racism back in
we solved it in
2008.
Yeah, I was just 2008. We're in a post-racial world, Dan. Didn't you know?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, man, but
What are you talking about,
boy.
Dan?
Gee, have you gone outside lately?
Not over the past 4 days. It's rained.
Things have changed in those days. I'll just put it at that.
My point was being, even though it's a very good joke.
Thank you.
My point was
Pat
being
yourself on the back.
slap on the back.
Gold
Point for
stars.
Dan.
Sticker.
It took us almost 400 episodes, but I finally got a good joke in.
I'm giving you a gold star for this one, Dan.
You'll receive it in 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I can wait that long.
I believe, I don't know if there is a certain cutoff period, but I feel like from like the early 80s through the late 90s through like the end of TGIF, the broadcast, teaching lessons to kids shows like don't exist anymore at all. And maybe they're a little more sanitized on like a Disney or a Nick than these are, because, behind the funny kid show backing of Punky Brewster and even like Fresh Prince, very serious things they talked about in there, behind the veneer of these kind of shows. And it is something that is lost, and I'm glad that when we decided to do this May sweeps thing, we focused in on this very certain relic of the time of TV episodes.
Okay. As for me, guys, I'm aware of Punky Brewster, but I don't know if I've ever actually watched Punky Brewster. So this is the first time I've ever watched Punky Brewster. And just keep saying the name Punky Brewster over and over again.
Punky.
Because now I can't say the Punky because I'm sure Mark has copyrighted it at this point. We need these shows back. We need family-friendly sitcoms with lessons. We don't have enough. I wholeheartedly feel this way, is that sitcoms should be family friendly and they should be appointment viewing. And I don't know how you get back to it. I think you take an electromagnetic pulse and destroy all streaming services, so we have to go back to cable. Maybe. Seems a little brash, but I'm for it. But yeah, I find this to be charming in its antiquity of not being like Punky Brewster. Like post office sitcoms are all adult focused, cynical and ironic, whereas these elevator pitch sitcoms, like we talked about, like old rich white man adopts 2 black kids, old rich white man adopts even smaller black child. Old curmudgeon adopts funky dressing girl with pigtails. Guy invents a daughter made out of spare robot parts. Crazy. They're all.
Is that Small Wonder?
Small Wonder.
Okay.
The more you explain about Small Wonder, the more ridiculous it gets. But
or
it's 100% true.
Or Out of This World. Alien guy that lives in a fishbowl is the dad of a girl that has powers. Perfect. The 80s was the 80s and into the early 90s, perfect breeding ground for sitcoms. It just worked. Guy from Baltic country moves in with his cousin in Chicago, and hijinks ensues. Perfect, great, perfect strangers, if anything.
Yes.
And yeah,
Now everything's a Seth MacFarlane show.
everything's a Seth MacFarlane or Taylor Sheridan show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for boomers.
Yeah. So I enjoyed going back into this world of just a nice 22-minute episode of family-friendly hijinks where a lesson is learned at the end. Love it. I talked about it on the Discord. I will go toe-to-toe with anybody on Full House trivia. It's a comfort food that I am more than happy to admit to. This episode, a harrowing amount of time that girl is in that fridge. I mean, I knew she was going to come out of it and they're going to perform CPR and everything was going to be fine. But man, the amount of time she is in that fridge is like, man, I hope they get her out soon.
She's in there for one whole commercial break.
She's
Yeah,
there for
exactly.
a long time. And she
and
is in
he-
the most obvious hiding spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the old man's like, I saw her go inside.
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
gaslighting everybody.
I did like Alan's thing of when he comes down from the treehouse and he says to Henry, he was like, oh, he's not up there? Nope. I thought you might have climbed over my body up there, but then I thought I might have felt her climb over my body. That's counting.
Like, shut up, Alan.
You've been of no service whatsoever this entire episode.
No,
Alan's
no.
just yapping. Just
Yeah.
yapping.
I thought the dog was gonna find her.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it last?
What's the dog's name? Ben or Benny? Or
Brandon.
something like Brandon.
Yeah, it's
Let's
like
let's go, Brandon. Come on.
the
That's two good jokes, Mark.
Yeah, there you go. Second gold star. Stop me right in my tracks, Dan. Pretty good.
Yeah, I left you speechless.
We were speaking about how harrowing. Jeez, now I can't even speak, Dan. You got me all flustered.
Harrowing.
Harrowing. Her being stuck on that fridge is when they get her out to do the CPR. The music they play during the
The
CPR.
music of this episode. Fantastic.
Yes, it's like
It's
the
good.
serious Sting hits.
Oh man, yeah. No, the composer earned his paycheck this week.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
that
good.
it was. Yeah, they pulled out the concerning music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a great time watching Punky Brewster. I don't think we're gonna go back and watch 4 episodes, but
No.
yeah, there needs to be a I should be the change I want to see in the world, but I think there should be more going back to regularly scheduled programming of shows. And maybe this is because I'm a dad now and thinking about, obviously I have 1,000 shows at my disposal to show my son when he gets old enough to continue watching stuff. But like, I don't know, there's something warm and cozy about the memories that I have of oh, Full House is on, we're watching this as a family,
Yeah.
and I'm sure some people feel that way about Punky Brewster, not me, because I was just a little bit too young, obviously. But yeah, all the shows, and they're not, looking back on them, because I've watched most of these shows into my adulthood. Then they're not great, but they're junk food, and I love them for it.
The classics hold up still. A Full House, Family Matters, Fresh Prince, those shows, those sitcoms, they will stand the test of time, I think, because they had that quality to them. They had that family-friendly quality that you don't get nowadays, right? Like you said, there is no more studio audience with TV shows anymore. They just put the laugh track in, right? You have the Big Bang Theory that you have the generated laugh track. Shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they had the studio audience, which added to the experience. You're laughing along with everybody else.
Yeah, I think the death of TGIF and probably to a lesser extent something even like Snick on Nickelodeon.
Sure.
Was the end of these type of kids shows, because all the stuff I watched with my nieces when they watched, while they had things that were like, relevant to the time period. It was nothing like, how these very special episodes and TV, shows, it wasn't presented the same way. And I feel like when that stopped being profitable, into the 2000s and especially the 2010s, the advertisers and shareholders won, and everybody missed out on shows to talk about, when you were growing up. Like we having great discussion in the Discord about it. It's just a shame, because that's main thing I took away from this was, there was a time when, these were, well, most TV was appointment TV, but this was like, as a kid, you were like, you built your night around, watching the next episode of whatever show you watched.
What was, speaking of appointment viewing, what do you guys think was the last show that was really appointment viewing? Do you think we still have them today, or I think it died out?
I think it's HBO with their shows. I think really, I think the concept died with COVID. But I think Game of Thrones is probably the last appointment viewing. Water cooler, coffee pot show. I mean, I think you get it at, like, not nearly as much as, like, I guess White Lotus when it comes back. I think that is a conversation starter, stuff like that. But like Game of Thrones, you had to watch it that night, or you couldn't go into the office the next morning, or everybody's going to be wanting to talk about it.
And I think the in terms of broadcast TV, I think once they stopped getting tens of millions of viewers per episode, I think that's when that died out in terms of being appointment TV. Like you're probably, the tail end is probably like Friends is probably the last one that hit those highs, despite how popular the Big Bang Theory and all was. It wasn't the same as like Friends and Seinfeld, and for kids, TGIF, or
maybe The
Simpsons
Office
on Sunday, before school, or work or whatever. The most popular shows were, on Thursday nights,
right,
specifically so you could go into work the next day and talk. HBO took over Sunday nights for the same reason.
I think, Anthony, I think you and I had talked about this, or I don't recall exactly, but I remember having a conversation with someone. Was basically like every Sunday we waited for The Simpsons, and then all week we talked about that Simpsons episode until Sunday hit, and then you talked about that Simpson episode the next week. So that, for me, that was the, I had to watch that episode that night because I knew people at school were going to talk about it. And I would spend summers quoting, people talk about the Chappelle Show. Before Meme, we had the Chappelle Show. Before the Chappelle Show, we had Seinfeld and So that was the original. Hey, you're quoting the Soup Nazi, or you're talking about the Simpsons episode where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land. So that was our childhood, for at least for the two of us. Mark, you dabbled in The Simpsons, obviously, in Seinfeld, so you know what it was like.
Yeah, I had Bartman stuff, and
sure,
I recorded the episode, where it's called Who Shot Mr. Burns and stuff like that on VHS.
That was like a national thing.
Yeah.
That was a huge episode.
Yeah. All right, guys. Final thoughts, Dan?
So, like you, Ant, this was an interesting watch, just in terms of its sheer nostalgia, and also as something that I had never seen before. Will I be going back to watch any Punky Brewster episodes? Probably not. This was never high on my list to begin with, so this didn't really shed anything new for me. Like, man, I can't believe I missed out on this. Now, like, what Robot Girl, maybe. What was it? Small Wonder. Small Wonder. Maybe that'll pique my interest. I also feel as if some of these things are they're in the past, and I don't know if I could conjure up that kind of stamina to go back, because I said in the Discord, Cheers was something I kind of caught the tail end of. And a lot of people keep saying, you got to watch Cheers. I probably should, but I feel as if it's just that time has passed for me, and I don't know if I have the energy to watch 8 seasons of Cheers or 9 seasons.
Right. Is it the Is it the laugh track, like the studio audience laughing, that's like the gate for you? Because it's like it's a very antiquated sort of idea, right? The three
Absolutely.
camera sitcom.
They don't really do that anymore, as far as I
Yeah.
know. I like the laugh track. Again, in the Discord, one of the the question you asked everybody was, what was primetime viewing in your house? We used to watch Married with Children a decent amount, and that had a laugh track. Or
Yeah.
not. I'm sorry, that had a studio audience.
For the purposes of this discussion, where you hear the audience, regardless of whether or not it's canned laughter or otherwise.
Yeah, I got turned around. I don't like the laugh track.
Okay.
I like the studio audience. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
I'm saying, like, for this conversation, it doesn't matter whether or not it's a real studio audience or it's a fake studio audience. The difference between a one-camera sitcom like The Office or a three-camera sitcom like Friends is that there's audience participation.
Yes.
That's kind of a way of the past, I think, really. I'm sure there's still shows on CBS, NBC that still have it, but for the most part, the one-camera sitcom has become the norm. So I'm saying is going back to watching a show like this, or not this, but Cheers, because that's obviously, when we're talking about greatest sitcoms of all time, that's, if it's not one, it's top 5.
Sure.
Is that sort of like an on-ramp that you don't see yourself getting past in a way?
I think so. I think so. And mostly, and as a dad, a fellow father, you know how difficult it is to start something new. Because that takes a lot of energy, and you have to, at least for me, I really have to be careful with how I budget my time now. So is it, I have to weigh the like the pros and the cons. Is this something that I want to spend my free time getting into? I think maybe when he's a little older, I can see myself, all right, I'll go back and check this out now. But I think as of right now, I'm leaving it in the past. Punky Brewster, Cheers, that's staying in the past for right now.
Okay. Martin.
Oh, Martin.
Yeah.
I used to love Martin. Martin was great. I didn't know.
Taxi.
Taxi, I used to watch. I probably won't go back and revisit that anytime soon.
Newhart.
Oh, I hated Newhart. My mom would, it was almost like she would force us to watch Newhart. We did. And as a kid, you don't get dry humor.
Yeah.
Most kids don't. So, like, obviously Bob Newhart, one of the kings of dry humor. Like, what is this? Where's the jokes? Where's the obvious jokes? I will not be watching Newhart. Mary Tyler Moore, we used to watch that, the Mary Tyler Moore show. Dick Van Dyke, those were on our house. But yeah, I think there are some shows that are almost better left fondly remembering, and like if you go back, it may not be what you think it was.
Sure.
So not to say that those shows that I mentioned are part of it, but I don't know if I want to chance it, because I had good memories of those shows when my parents were alive. So, like, yeah, maybe it's okay to just keep these in the past. We'll see.
Okay. Mark, final thoughts.
Yeah. So, yeah, this, as we talked about, I think the thing I got most out of this was just, yearning for a time of when, these type of shows, were the things I cared about to watch. Maybe a time when broadcast is a little more, worthwhile than it is nowadays. Because these these shows, taught you stuff while not even being a little bit cheesy or cringe, as the kids might say today. They got the point across, and no matter what lesson they talked about, you sort of learned something whether you knew it or not watching the show. And yeah, it's very much a bygone era of television viewing. Even in the case when I was looking at some trivia about it, the fact that only the first 2 seasons were made on NBC, and they got some of the better episodes in it, and the last 2 seasons are just basically syndication, like weekly shows that aired over 2 months every year. So it was a good episode. I think this one and the Saved by the Bell, I mean, the dinosaurs one is just kind of could have gone over some people's heads in terms of what they were talking about if you didn't like actually know what happened to the dinosaurs and all that, or the theory on it. But all in all, I think as Ant said, we need to go back to these shows being weekly shows instead of something kids can just binge on TV. But that could be just a nostalgia thing for me, and kids would rather watch all 13 episodes of season of Punky Brewster in a row on their tablet, or something like that, rather than watch an episode, talk about it with their friends, then watch the next episode, next week and things like that. But overall, the thing I learned most of all is that if you're being taught CPR, don't make wisecracking jokes at the person talking to you, or you may be in a situation where you could have helped your friend, but you don't know how to do it.
Fair. All right. As for me, yeah, I think we talked more about the state of the sitcom than we did Punky Brewster, but we learned valuable lessons about not going in fridges, which they don't really harp on too much about disposed refrigerator safety, about having to remove the door. They really kind of gloss over that. But yeah, it's important to learn CPR. I'm a relatively new dad. I probably should know CPR. I probably should be certified. Dan, you too. You can't get out of that either. You're also a newish dad. So yeah, that's something I don't know, but maybe I learned a little bit from Punky Brewster today. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed going back watching a show from 1986 for 22 minutes. Actually, I wound up watching this twice because I stopped paying attention for it, so I had to go back and rewatch it. And I was able to do that because it only took 22 minutes. But yeah, I think all of those episodes that were up in the poll would have been a fun watch and a fun discussion. But yeah, Punky Brewster. It's on Peacock if you got it. I'm not gonna say go binge all of Punky Brewster, but if you want to put this episode on, sure. Learn a little bit. Here's some excellent music. And yeah, to watch a girl almost eat it in a fridge. And the adults in the situation don't possibly think to look in the fridge for the longest time.
Just really hit the bed.
Yeah. It felt like it was in episode 24 when she was in that fridge. Like, man, clock's ticking.
Yeah, it was all in real time.
Beep.
I will say it was, like you said, it was definitely harrowing because she's pounding on the door and then the pounding just like lessens. And I was like, oh shit. Like they're dragging this out.
Yeah. One fun bit of trivia I just found. Apparently Jim Carrey auditioned for the teacher role, but they deemed him too manic and not suited for children.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair assessment.
I would say. Especially if he hooked up with Jenny McCarthy at that point.
That sent us on this timeline of hell.
But anyway, yeah, that's our episode talking about Punky Brewster. And we're going to take a quick break and then have a third segment. Before we do, Dan, what do you got for us?
All right, guys, go check out the Game Vault podcast run by our very own Mark Myers and good friend of the podcast, Tom Schuster. It is a podcast where they talk about video game news, games that they're playing, games that they think you guys should be playing. So if you are an avid gamer or someone who's looking to get into the world of video game, the Game Vault podcast is a great starting point for you. A lot of knowledge, a lot of fun discussions going on there. It's available on all podcast platforms. It's available on YouTube. You could check them out on all socials at Game Vault Pod. And you could also check them out over on Twitch at Game Vault Pod, where they're streaming a slew of different games. So if you're into newer games, older games, they have you covered. Please make sure to rate and review them. It helps them out a great deal. And please make sure to follow them wherever you are on, whatever social media you are on.
Okay, great. We're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we'll be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time for our third segment. And this segment this week is Tier List. We are going to rank sitcoms. Fun. I'm going to share this screen, and we're going to go. So we have a whole bunch of sitcoms here. Some I've seen, some I haven't. But our tiers are basically super awesome, both of which spelled incorrectly. Good, regular, okay,
Well, you gotta
bad,
keep it there.
and never watched.
I hate when tier lists do this. They try to be unique. Just
Yeah.
do the S, the A, the B.
Exactly. I feel the same way, especially when you spell one of the words wrong.
That's what happens when you try to get cute.
Yep. Like when a meme spelled something incorrectly. It's like, well, I can't use that.
Yeah.
Can't share that. I think I co-sign the spelling of that meme.
You let it go. You let it slide.
Yeah, it's like, nope. On to the next. All right. So you guys have this list right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at it. All right. Stan, why don't you start us off? Where are we going?
All
What
right,
are we doing?
I'm going bad right off the bat. And I'm going bad because of who stars in it. I've never watched
The Ranch.
It's not The Ranch,
The Andy Griffith Show.
which I have also not watched. But this is someone who was a part of our childhoods, and people in the Discord also remember this man. It's the
Last Man
last man standing with snitch Tim Allen. Get him on the bad list.
Snitch. Yeah. Didn't someone play his
Just get
daughter on
put
that
in
show?
bad.
Caitlin Deaver.
Okay. All right. I thought so. I thought there was somebody that we were supposed to know.
Yeah.
All right. Bad. I feel like my parents like it.
Yeah, she left the show to do better stuff. So what they did was because of who he is, conservative right-wing person, they made her join the military.
Of course.
Her character.
Interesting.
Serving her country.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mark, where are you going?
Well, I'll start up at the top. Let's just do Super Awesome and put Seinfeld up there.
Yes.
All right. S tier for Seinfeld.
Yep.
I do wish the scrolled a little bit better. One
Yeah,
thing
that's
about
the
Tier
thing
Maker.
about- Yeah.
Does not scroll particularly well. So we got Seinfeld all the way up in the super awesome S tier.
Yeah.
A show that I watched when it originally aired, but didn't truly understand until I was late high school, college.
Mm.
I was like, oh, that's what that means.
I was always very aware of it. I always understood it. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. I know it's late. For mine, I'm gonna go a little bit middle of the road. I think its peak is very peak, but I think it got comfortable in what the kids would call mid. So I'm going good, and I'm going to say 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Interesting. I also would have put it. I wouldn't have put it at the Super Awesome, but yeah, that was a show that definitely had its time, and it wound up getting a little too comfortable.
I think the first few seasons, when it was more of an ensemble, excellent. I think
Yeah.
it was as good, if not better, than its contemporaries. There are some really great episodes, like when Tracy does Conan, a fantastic episode. I thought the strength of the show was its ensemble cast, and then as it got later into the season, it really became Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin, and then like the supporting cast was basically just Tracy Morgan and Jane Kaczmarek, Krakowski, all great characters in their own right. But I really missed that kind of full team, like the writing room,
The writers.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it did nestle itself into like middle of the road towards the end of there. All right, Dan, next for you.
I will follow in your footsteps, and this may be a hot take. I think Community goes in the good tier because I think the first two seasons are awesome.
Yep.
But then what's his name leaves the show.
Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon leaves the show, and it kind of just wanders aimlessly. It stops becoming a show about the group study, like the study group, and it just becomes a wild, wacky adventure from week to week. I want to say it probably goes downhill towards the end of the third season. But yeah, and then it gets picked up by Yahoo streaming, all these other, people bring it back. They added a couple people after Donald Glover leaves. That's when it really kicks the bucket. But, like Keith David's in it for a season and he's great. The guy from Breaking Bad, the cop, the crooked cop, he's in it for a season.
Sure. Mike Ehrmantraut. I forget
yes.
his Jonathan Banks. Banks.
He's in it for a season and he's really good, but it's the dynamic's not there. So I think it levels out at good, with the first two seasons being excellent and then being brought down by the others.
Okay. I agree. I agree. The bad seasons are very bad.
Yes, it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
The,
All right,
the
Mark.
dean becomes more of
Yeah,
a
I-
player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is. I had 3 shows that I thought were immediately in this good. You guys have picked 2 of them, and I think the third one that has sort of the same trajectory as the other 2, in my opinion, is I feel like Parks and Rec had the same early, shot out of rocket success, and then sort of meandered till its end. Now it had great
Interesting.
characters that came out of it, but in terms of the story in the show, I think they just feels like, from what I remember, because I haven't gone back and watched many of the episodes, that they just ran out of things to do, and it just got stale at certain points. But it does have one of the final episode is really good.
Mhm.
I think the ending for Ron Swanson is really, really well done. But the one thing I take from Parks and Rec, which makes it good, and in this category, is everybody around our age or in like an age range always makes the joke about March 31st.
Yes.
From the show,
Sure.
especially in a industry where dates are very important
Sure.
to us. And it's funny that one singular joke or that entire episode with that joke has just stuck. And I think that's the sign of a good sitcom. But it's hard to do that over, a long stretch of seasons. I think that's why it's very few sitcoms will fall into that S tier, because, consistency is hard
Okay.
in comedy shows.
I hear you. I think Parks and Rec is in the awesome category. Dan,
Yeah.
do you have an opinion on this? I think its peak was longer and higher than either of the ones that are on the good list. I think it is a well-crafted show. I would say it doesn't start off on a rocket. I think the first season and a half are rough to get through in comparison to the better seasons. But I think Parks and Rec's is higher than either Communities or 30 Rocks.
It doesn't pick up until Rob Lowe and what's his name show up. Ben.
Oh, yeah. Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. I think that's season 3, I want to say.
I want to say it's like the second half of the second season.
Yeah, okay. So I agree. I do think the first season it's a slog to get through.
Mhm.
And even though he's universally like annoying now, bringing on Chris Pratt as a main character also launched it into a bigger, like into the stratosphere.
You know what sucks about him is that he's a piece of shit, but he's like genuinely funny.
He is.
Like I've seen interviews with him, and it's like I get why he's like famous, because he's like charismatic and funny. He just has like awful politics.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think it launched his career. But yeah, I do think Parks and Rec had longer legs than 30 Rock and Community. It was tighter for longer.
So would you put that in awesome, or would you keep it in good?
I would put it in awesome. It's one of my favorite sitcoms of the past.
Yeah. All right. So we upgraded it a little bit. All right. Where am I going? Let's see. I'm gonna go awesome here. If it was just me, I'd probably put it in S tier. But show that means a lot to me in terms of when it came out, and it was my favorite show when it was on. I'm gonna put Scrubs in the A tier.
Sure.
What were you gonna say, Mark?
I say King of Queens was going to be my joke.
Sure.
No. I think Scrubs that in that first, I don't know, it definitely had a dip towards the end of the series. Obviously, no one talks about season 9, the season that shall not be named. But the revival season was excellent for as far as revival seasons go. And it was kind of one of the first shows that ushered in this one camera kind of aesthetic, because it was 3 or 4 years before The Office came out. Obviously not the British Office, but the American version of The Office. And it kind of weaved heartfelt moments, episodes with real good comedy. So
yeah.
I'm gonna put that in the awesome tier. Dan.
Well, I'm gonna fill out the okay here. I'm gonna put
Happy Day.
no Happy Days is. I greatly enjoy Happy Days.
No.
I'm gonna put The Big Bang Theory in okay.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I never got it, and you would think that's right up my alley because I'm a comic book guy. But Sheldon is such an unlikable character, and I understand. He's got Asperger's. He's on the he's on the scale, but he never has. Very rarely does he have like a shining moment.
Yeah.
Where like if most people would be like, why the fuck am I hanging out with this guy?
Right.
Like he's smart, but he's a huge prick.
Yeah.
And that goes for most of the other characters too. They're not very likable.
No.
They're all
not.
kind of shitty.
Yeah, they're all brainiacs, and I get that's the point. Like, they live in a world where everyone is beneath them in terms of intelligence, but I don't know. There's better ways to write your character if that's the case.
I think the closest to likable one is the blonde that's not Kaylee Cuoco.
With the high pitched voice.
Yeah.
Melissa Rauch, I believe her name is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think she's the closest to likable of any of the cast. Which is, it's funny the way you say that because it's 100% true, Dan. But I could make an argument, not that it's much better, but if I was, I'm probably not going to rank this show, but I would put a show like even Young Sheldon is better. I would put that above Big Bang Theory from what I've seen of the shows.
Oh, I'd agree. Young Sheldon is my wife and I's like, we don't have anything we want to watch, but we should put something on. And Young Sheldon, as of right now, is that thing. And it's really good because of everyone else around Sheldon.
Exactly.
Wallace Shawn is really good in it. He plays like basically a professor that also is on the spectrum. Annie Potts plays Sheldon's grandmother. And you know what? Sheldon's grandma could get it.
Well, it's
Annie Potts looks fantastic. Yeah, still,
you forget how much of a baddie she is.
Even dressed up as a grandma.
Yeah.
I love how of the Ghostbusters that are still alive, Ernie Hudson and Annie Potts are still like super fuckable.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're just taking it to 8, because like there's always like the internet stuff of like the hear me outs, right? And like women's is like, oh, the toothbrush from the Oral-B commercial. And men is just like Cameron Diaz in Being John Malkovich. So, if I say Meemaw from Young Sheldon is my hear me out, it's like, well, who gives a shit because it's Annie Potts, but like she's also like supposed to be in her 70s in the show.
Yeah, she looks amazing.
Yeah. All right. Big Bang Theory in okay. All right, Mark, where are you?
Yeah. Just going around. I'm between a bunch where I want to just put them, at a level and see if you guys want to put them higher.
Okay. You only get to pick one, Mark. Can't just be doing what you always do and start throwing them out there.
I'm not.
I got to pick 5 this round. Suckers.
Give me the first row.
Give me the entire first row.
Yeah,
including according to Jim.
Well, the Jeffersons and All in the Family were, connected, so you gotta pick those two.
Right, they're tandem.
Yeah, I feel like this is a show that sort of flirts between S and A, just because of a transition it makes midway through. But I feel like Cheers, the switch to Christy Alley, is what, in my thought, keeps it from going up to super awesome in the S category. But it is definitely a tweener where I agree either way. But I think it's another one that with Diane starts out really good, early, and then, you lose that will they, won't they joke on the sitcom. And it sort of loses a little bit there. But yeah, it is definitely one of those cornerstone sitcoms.
I don't know if Dan is really gonna have an opinion on this because we mentioned not long ago in this episode that he really hasn't watched it except for like the tail end of it. Yeah. I think Cheers belongs in the S tier.
We can put it there.
I think it's arguably the greatest sitcom of all time. I say recently, and it's probably 8 years ago, went back and I watched like the first couple of seasons, and it's great. I was surprised how quickly they paid off the will they won't they
Yeah.
between Sam and Diane. But I'm also very obviously be learning something about myself and how important an ensemble cast is to me as we're talking about this, because I think, and again, the strongest part of the show is the ensemble cast between John Ratzenberger and Norm
George Wendt,
and
yeah.
Rhea Perlman and Woody Harrelson, obviously. They're all just everyone is at the top of their game for a decade, really.
Yeah.
So I would say S tier, no question.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let's pick one. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with another S tier, another show that just everybody top of their game the entire time. Golden Girls.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Golden Girls. Four baddies. All four of them. Hear me outs.
That's
Yeah.
what women look like in their 50s, by the way. Back in the day.
That's what I was going to say. Like you nowadays, nobody would be able to guess their age
Yeah.
correctly.
Like Jennifer Lopez and the Golden Girls.
Everyone would say they're all in their 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always great. Betty White, fantastic. Every person in the show just knew their character inside and out and played them perfectly.
It's because they were all like trained comedic actresses that there's a lot of bloopers and things where they just start, ad-libbing and improving off each other. That makes it great. Like, I don't know if it ever makes it on the show, but when that whole thing about when Betty White does the whole thing about her family having like some kind of like circus thing for like a flea or something like that, and the entire time she's telling this story, B. Arthur just keeps yes-anding her and having her like continue telling the story and just to see how far she can take it, and then midway through she just breaks on camera.
Sure.
Because Betty White just doesn't break at all and just keeps getting more and more ridiculous with the story as she goes. And it's just a great moment. If you can find it on YouTube. It's really good. It reminds me of like, there's a great clip from like Martin Short on like one of his shows where he just they keep the camera rolling and he just keeps going with the joke and until finally he just makes everyone break and then they cut the camera.
Sure.
And it's, that's why. And like you said, ensemble cast, even though that, it works because the four of them can all play off each other.
Yeah. All right. Dan.
All right, let's go. Awesome. Married with Children. And this is turning into this is going to turn into the baddies tier list now, because Christina Applegate, obviously huge crush on her when I was a kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
First celebrity crush.
Yes, she was. And it was kind of awkward at times because, again, the studio audience whistling at her, catcalling her. She's like a teenager, but, I guess we look past that for now. And Katie Siegel, bombshell. Al just didn't know what he had. She's a baddie, lazy, but she's a baddie. And this was the antithesis to the Cosby Show, essentially, right? This is what families were pretty much normally like. They berated themselves, but if someone else said a mean word about someone in the family, they were getting knocked out. Just great characters. I can't say it holds up very well today, right? A lot of fat shaming, misogyny,
especially the shoe store.
Oh my God, the shoe store. But I can't deny its history, and it launched Fox TV, Fox Television.
Yeah.
Without it, we don't get The Simpsons. Yeah. So I put it in the awesome category.
I agree.
And he scored 4 touchdowns in one game.
In one game. Yeah. Antithesis of of Cosby Show, and it's apparently there's no one nicer in Hollywood than Ed O'Neill. So fuck you, Cosby.
Only one of those people hasn't been sent to jail.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick one that I think is underrated. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'll put it in the good category. I think it gets pretty close to awesome. My sister and my nieces were obsessed with it, and that's why I got exposed to it a lot. But I think a show that goes in the middle, it goes in the good, is The Middle. I
Yeah.
think,
I've heard good things. I have never seen it,
yeah,
so I can't argue.
yeah,
I
it's
agree
definitely
with you, Mark.
good. It could be awesome. But yeah, it's definitely on the level of 30 Rock, I'm sure. Yeah, my oldest niece was obsessed with it when she was younger, so we always had to watch it when it even came on like syndication reruns. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This is a
it's worth it
sneaky
if you
good
haven't
pick.
seen it.
Yeah, I agree.
And speaking of actresses that are just normal, the one that plays the daughter, Sue Heck, she's
Mhm.
been doing a bunch of podcasts, and she's just like the most normal person. Like she's like, yeah, I get it. I knew I wasn't going to be a star. Sort of like, I just like
Right.
working. You know,
Sure.
like just and like they the one good joke she tells is that her kids, there's a difference. Like there's Sue, which is named this, and then there's Mom.
Mhm.
They don't believe that it's the same person.
I am gonna go. We've been too nice recently, so I'm gonna go bad. I'm going. I'm going 2.5 Men. It brought us Charlie Sheen's meltdown in the 2010s. Chuck Lorre's just stranglehold over CBS for. I think he's also a Big Bang Theory guy, right? He's
Yeah,
the
he's
creator
Big
of Big
Bang
Bang
Theory.
Theory.
Yeah.
And it's just lowbrow, really. If you've ever not watched an episode, it's just gross all around.
Yeah.
It's a gross show.
Yeah, they even make a joke at one point where the son has a threesome as a teenager, and
Yeah.
Of
play
course.
for laughs.
Yeah,
And they
that
play
doesn't
for laughs
surprise
with
me.
the fact that Alan thought that the 16-year-old girl sneaking out was Charlie Sheen's date.
It's
Yeah.
the mark of a good comedy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Dan.
All right. What do we want to do? One more each.
Yeah, let's do one each.
Yeah.
So I will end. I gotta go with super awesome here. I feel like, because I don't know if I put one up there yet.
The
There's
Bob
so many
Newhart
good
show.
ones. The Bob Newhart show. I've lied to you this entire time. Because I kind of want to keep up with the whole baddie thing, but I also need to follow my gut. I think you gotta go with I Love Lucy as super awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
The woman
Yeah, that was-
pioneered sitcoms.
I was
And
gonna
a baddie.
I was gonna say, Dan,
Yeah.
that would be my pick because my mother loved it. Bought the DVDs when they came out for the entire
Sure.
run. We watched the movie together. With Nicole Kidman. So yeah,
And
definitely
Javier
super
Bardem.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think, this show still stands the test of time now. People still, every now and then you'll see something about it. And like you said, she's a baddie, Lucille Ball.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. All right. Mark, last pick for you.
I was trying to find a bad one, but it would just be like, taking.
You don't want to force it.
Yeah, it'd be just like taking an obvious one, like a show that wasn't actually good. That's on this list. That's not like a hot take, not even a hot take, but like, well, since none of you put it in there, I'm gonna do super awesome. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Sure.
That
Gotta
show
rep.
rocks.
Got to rep my town.
I don't
There's
really have any
still
arguments.
so many things that randomly come up in my life in conversation that are references to that show.
Sure.
Yeah.
And more recently, the whole thing about what's your spaghetti policy has become a thing because there's been a whole thing on the internet about finding out if you can bring a Ziploc bag full of pasta into a baseball game at what stadiums. So weirdly, just about there's always something that ties back into that show at some point. Yeah, it's and it goes places that you're not expecting in most seasons. So
Okay. I don't really have. I mean, I could say Friends in the S tier, but I don't want to go like S tier to finish it off. What do I want to do though? I think for my last one, I'm going to say I'm going to go good. And I have a few of them that I'm looking at that I could probably be into good. But I'm going to go with a show that I think had a really high peak and then really low lows. So I'm going to say Arrested Development is good.
Interesting. That's a hot take, I feel.
I think first few seasons,
mm-hmm.
better than anything. Netflix seasons, pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think its legacy is not up to the par of a Parks and Rec, a Scrubs, a Married with Children.
Yeah. Another show that references to that just randomly makes sense in my life. Like, I think I used the Dozens of Us line
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, I think the first 2 seasons are damn near perfect.
They're really good.
It's some of the best television like of all time. Again, ensemble cast. But yeah, the first season on Netflix redeems itself with like at the end, kind of once everything ties all together. It is a slog to get to that point. And then I don't even remember how many seasons they did. Was it only 2? Was it 3? But unmemorable. And that's a nice way of putting those seasons. If there was 2 seasons, if there was 1 season, I have no idea. But yeah, a disappointing end to that show, definitely. I was thinking of like that 70s show had a really good run. Everyone in that cast is awful except for Topher Grace.
Topher Grace, yeah.
Like the only good person.
Yeah, of the shows that were left on the list, the one that it turned out to be correct when I was still reviewing broadcast TV is I described Mom as the mom jeans of sitcoms, meaning that it's like very, very just mid and plain, like nothing too special. And then that whole series turned out to be that. If it wasn't for Anna Faris and Allison Janney, like that show, they basically lift up the material, but it never goes above, And then, looking at this, some shows we probably 20 years ago or more, some of these shows probably would have got ranked very high, but certain things occurred that leaves one show that probably would have been S tier. Just like, hey, we don't even want to touch it.
Are we talking about the Cosby Show?
The Cosby Show, yeah.
Oh, at first I thought you were talking about Home Improvement, which I think, despite your feelings of professional snitch, Tim Allen, was at least a good show, if not better.
Yeah. Home Improvement is way better than Last Man Standing. Last Man Standing is sort of like when he got the chains taken off him and he could, make it much more.
He's just being conservative to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Cash that check.
Exactly. He wasn't like, no, we're writing a good show.
Yeah.
He's been chasing Home Improvement forever with these shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for propaganda, I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine has a lot of very high highs.
People love that show. I tried. I think I've probably told the story on this podcast. I tried to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine once. It was right after the George Floyd protests.
Oh yeah.
And then the pilot starts like cold open with a beating a confession out of a suspect joke, and I was like, "Ooh, not the best time to start this show." So
yeah, solid timing on your part.
Yeah,
I think I was recovering from my gallbladder surgery. I was like, I just need something to throw on, and my wife also had a surgery at the same exact time, so we're just both laid up. So I was like, "Oh, I'll put this on," and then it was like, just no, not the time. But
we'll watch Young Sheldon instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, Young Sheldon's good. Yeah, but my last thing, the funniest thing about The Office for me is that I literally, and I will say this, the last full episode I watched was when Pam and Jim got married.
That's a show.
I did not watch his episode after that at all.
That's a show that coasts on like 4 good seasons.
Yeah,
really 3, because the first season's not good.
Yeah, that's a show that started out just like Parks and Rec, real slow.
Yeah. Well, they burn off a whole bunch of scripts from the British Office, which the British Office was just a very mean-spirited show in comparison.
Yeah, that's right, because Michael is super mean-spirited in the first scene.
Yeah, and it's taken like he's basically doing a Ricky Gervais impression. Like a lot of those scripts are nearly identical. And it was to the benefit of that show that they retooled Michael to be a more endearing character. As awful as he is as a human being, he does have like redeemable moments.
Yeah.
Eventually. And
he has childlike wonder, essentially.
Yeah.
Scott.
Michael Scott is a Tim Robinson character, right?
It's kind of, sure.
Like he doesn't know any better, and like you said, he's like a child where he will lie to get himself out of a situation and just winds up making it worse, which is like every Tim Robinson sketch. It's basically someone lies, they get called on it, and they just dig themselves deeper. And that is Michael Scott.
That's basically the Chair Company.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a show that was good for like 4 solid seasons, and then like there's like 4 seasons after that that you gotta get through. But yeah. All right, we got a lot of classics on this list that we left off, but only so much time in a day.
I think it wouldn't have made sense to go through, like, obviously Happy Days, Mary Tyler Moore Show, Taxi, Fresh Prince. Those are all awesome. It's more of a time suck to talk about them than the ones that we talked about.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's our episode. Check us out on our socials, Blue Sky Threads and Instagram at TickTamPod. We're also available on TikTok. They call it a movie. You can also find us if you want to throw us an email, shoot us one at ticktampod@gmail.com. But the best place to get a hold of us is over on our Discord. And the best place to do that is go on to patreon.com/ticktampod. Sign up for just $1. You get access to our Discord. You get to participate in monthly polls, which this episode was a direct result of the poll over there at the Discord. And you get exclusive episodes at the end of once a month, where we are going to record that this coming week. As well as just like answer questions, talk to us about movies that you're watching, and all that kind of fun stuff. Check it out. We're having a good time over there, talking to a lot of people. It's patreon.com/ticktampod. And again, it's just $1. All right. That's going to wrap us up. We watched Punky Brewster this episode. So the creator of Punky Brewster was David Ducklin. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Vecchio telling David Ducklin, well, you certainly made an episode of Punky Brewster, didn't you?